Call the meeting to order. Proper quorum has been determined. Ask for approval of minutes for September 24th, 2013, regular meeting.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as submitted.
I have a motion to accept as submitted. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. This time I'll turn the chair over to Ms. Costanza.
Okay, first item of other business tonight is a motion to nominate and elect a chairman for a one-year term. At this point, I will open the floor and accept any nominations for a chairman for the planning
Motion
commission.
to put Calvin to remain as chairman.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any other nominations? Okay, seeing none, I will ask for a vote for Mr. Jones for chairman for one more year.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion has carried. Mr. Jones, you will be the chairman for another year. I will turn the other business over to you now.
Thank you, Ms. Costanza. Next, motion to elect vice chairman for a one-year term.
I move that Mr. Parker remain vice chairman.
I have a motion for Mr. Parker. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I'm sorry. Do I hear any other nominees? Okay. Now do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Parker, congratulations. I have a motion to nominate a secretary for a one-year term.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Graham Coates.
I have a motion for Mr. Graham Coates. Are there any nominees? Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, Ms. Coates. Now to old business. Are we going to follow the agenda, or do we have to move anything around?
We can follow. I think we can follow the agenda.
Next, we have old business, ordinance to amend the municipal zone ordinance by altering the regulations of PDR development. Ms. Costanza.
Okay, as we've looked at this ordinance the last couple months, I had a request to remove the additional requirements, item number 8, well, to amend it from the additional requirements for PDR, plan density residential regulations. To this end, I have just made a small amendment that would read, under additional requirements, item 8, it would now read, attached dwellings, multifamily dwellings, condominiums, and townhouses shall be limited to a maximum of 30% of the total residential unit total unless the development is a private community with a homeowners association with a property management policy. This is to allow for a luxury gated apartment community that in the PDR district to allow for the added flexibility to have such a development occur.
Any discussion?
I think we discussed this for several months now. As chairman, I'll make a motion to send on to Mayor and Alderman a favourable recommendation to approve the ordinance as submitted.
I have a favorable recommendation to be sent as submitted. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have an ordinance amendment to the municipal zoning ordinance by adding regulations for cell phone towers.
Okay, once again, we have looked at this the last 2 months. I presented the ordinance that the Planning Commission approved in 2008. It was 2008-22. At the time, it included new definitions, an application fee of $1,000, maximum height, minimum distance of separation, mandatory screening, design criteria, requirements for lease agreements for future dismantling of abandoned towers, requirement of the submittal of the FAA compliant documentation, application of non-conforming use clause to pre-existing towers, as well as inclusion in the permitted use tables as a special exception in C1 and C2. To that end, I have added, I've also added them as a special exception in C3, C4, I1, I2, and I3 as we discussed at workshop. I did not include them at all in residential districts as a permitted or special exception use. And the last part of the ordinance is the non-application of the exception to height limitations clause in Article 6.
Is there any discussion? Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to send a favourable recommendation to the Mayor Alderman accepting the ordinance as submitted.
Have a motion for favorable recommendation accepted as submitted. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have new business. Request to set bond for completion of as-built drawings and final topping of streets in Woodsong Phase 5, lots 20 on 9.16 acres, property located along Buffalo Drive, tax map 032, part of parcel 5.06, R1 Low Density Residential Zoning District, parcel owned by Rick Raja. Mr. Sandra.
Okay, in your packet, you have a copy of the final plat for Woodsong, Section 5, as well as a copy of the 3 estimates that were provided to Mr. Brown, and I'm going to let him finish discussing item number 1.
Basically, the developer's ready to finish up the subdivision to a point where he can get the plat recorded to pull building permits. He's done everything that the regulations require. He's provided us, Ms. Costanzo stated, three different quotes from contractors for the final topping. And we do have a stamped engineer's estimate for completion that includes the cost for record drawings, and they added a 20% per the regulations. Basically, only just at this point we need to set the amount. So if everyone's comfortable with the amount shown on the estimate, then that's what the developer will do for the letter of credit.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the bond at the $49,720.04 as submitted.
I have a
Phase
motion.
5.
I have a motion to accept if submitted on this price. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a site plan, Tennessee Farmers Co-op, addition to metal fabrication shed, property located at 180 Old Nashville Highway, tax map 05, parcel 24, I-2 Heavy Industrial Zoning District, parcel owned by Tennessee Farmers Co-op. Ms. Costanzo?
Okay, as we discussed at the workshop, there were actually no technical items with the original submittal, so there are still no technical items at this time.
And with that being said, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, with anything that would be required met, I make a motion that we approve as submitted.
I have a motion to approve as submitted. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have a site plan for clean energy, proposed liquefied natural gas, LNG, fueling facility, 1.45 acres, located at the northeast corner of Waldron Road and Charter Place. Tax map 029, parcel 2.08, C2 Highway Service Commercial Zoning District, parcel owned by Robert Stroop. Mr. Sandro?
At the workshop, if you recall, we had quite a number of technical items. There were 16 in addition to 7 other concerns. We have worked with Clean Energy, but they have asked, in your packet you'll see attached to the original report is a request for deferral for this item. So assuming you concur, we will hear this item in January of 2014.
Do I have any objections for deferral on it? Okay, we'll grant the deferral. Okay. Next, we have a final plat, Kate C. Haynes subdivision, re-subdivision of lots 3 and 4, 3 proposed lots on the 13.56 acres, property located at 1165 Waldron Road, tax map 032, parcel 21.03, R1 Low Density Residential Zoning District, parcel owned by Charles and Patricia Parker.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make it known I'm going to recuse myself from discussion or voting on this item.
Okay, Mr. Parker's going to recuse himself from discussion or voting, but he will stand by for any questions that any other members might have. Ms. Costanzo?
Okay, this, as we discussed at the workshop, this is just a re-subdivision of 2 lots into 3 for the purpose of 2 new buildable lots. We had 6 items, technical items at the workshop, and they've all been addressed at this time.
With all 6 items been addressed, I'll make a motion to accept as submitted.
I have a motion to accept as submitted. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Next, we have a site plan. AT&T proposed new cellular tower at Hickory Wood, 2.84 acres, property located at Murfreesboro Road and Madison Square Boulevard, tax map 015, parcel 2.13, C4 Neighborhood Commercial Zoning District, parcel owned by Mark A. Pirtle. Ms. Costanzo?
Mr. Chairman, we had several items on the technical items on the staff report from the workshop. There were 7 of them. AT&T has worked pretty closely to get these remedied. However, we had a final meeting yesterday with the actual property owner, and there was not enough time for them to finalize a 50-foot wide easement. So they have asked, as you'll see in your packet, they've asked for this item to be deferred until the next regularly scheduled meeting, which is sometime in January of 2014.
Okay. Any objections for a deferral? We also needed Mr. Kate Ginger in our workshop. Are they going to come back in front of the workshop for questions? Because there were some questions we had and we needed his.
Oh, I inquired with Mr. Coates about
Okay.
whether or not they were part of the
Yeah.
SMRT zone, and
Okay.
they're okay. It's they just needed a little bit more time to work out the easement issues.
Okay.
So.
All right, deferral's granted. Next, we have a site revision, World of Life Church.
Okay, if you recall at the workshop, we did discuss this. In your packet, you'll see the last item, you've got a copy of the original site plan that was approved for Word of Life Church. That's the bottom sheet. The sheet above it is a revised plan. Actually, I think I may have, well, there has been a revised plan submitted that shows the sidewalk bumped out around the existing TDS telecom box. I guess I can go back and give you a quick summary. When the sidewalks were going to be put in at Word of Life Church, they realized that there was an existing TDS telecom box that had been put in. It had been put in an easement that was purchased from the church by TDS, which was done in July of 2008. The site plan was approved by the city in, I believe it was September of 2008. For some reason, the easement was not shown on the site plan. And so here we are at this point where the sidewalks were going to be put into an easement area, which now has a TDS telecom box. And the box is going to cost approximately $30,000 to move. So, that being said, they have asked, Word of Life Church has asked, I'm surprised that they don't have any representatives here, but we had a good discussion, I guess, at the workshop. They've asked about doing the sidewalk fee and lieu payment instead of installing the roughly 104 feet of sidewalk. You can see my memo where I calculated it would be for a 6-foot sidewalk at roughly 104 feet. They would be charged the $3.75 fee, which is per the municipal subdivision regulations. It would come to a total of $2,335.95. And that item has to be approved formally by the Planning Commission so that it is part of the minutes that they are electing to pay the fee instead of putting in the sidewalks. So I guess as of tonight, you have 3 items to consider. Either A, forcing them to follow the original plan, which doesn't seem feasible at this point. B, you could have them install the sidewalks following the revised plan, which shows the sidewalk going up and around onto their property, going around the TDS box. It's, from a city standpoint, it's not the most ideal. We don't really want our sidewalk network not being in a straight line, for one. And the last option is to allow them to do a fee in lieu in the amount of $2,335.95.
Okay. Was there any other discussion? I recall we did discuss this in detail, and our main objective was the sidewalk. I mean, we got into the box with TDS, and we attempted to explain to them that was not our, that wasn't for our discussion.
Right, the right-of-way dedication deed, sure.
So was there any other discussion that needed to be as far as, I guess what I'm asking for is, do we have a preference on which of the three options Ms. Costanzo just presented?
My preference would be to let them pay the fee in lieu of. I think at this point in time, it'd be the simplest and best solution for them and for the city as well. So do I need to make a motion for that? I make a motion that the church be allowed to pay the $2,335.95 as a sidewalk fee in lieu of the sidewalks. Okay.
Okay, I have a motion for a fee in lieu. Do I have any other motions for any of the other two? Okay, I have a motion for a fee in lieu. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries for a fee in lieu of for the sidewalk. Next we have bonds and letters of credit.
Mr. Chairman, we have several that are basically three that's coming up, expiring in December. I've been in contact with the developer and the bank on McFarland Point, and they're going to be renewed. And I've also been in contact with the developer on Chelsea Estates Phase 2, and he's supposed to be getting with the bank to get that one extended for 1 year also. Everything else is up to date, and I did take off from the last sheet you saw, the Lake Forest Estates, because we did get the final draw on those letter credits.
All right. That being said, do I have any comments from the board? Stand again.